So as we can see, the executing and the creating of the REST with an executive framework. So here we do have the interrupted exceptions when the sleeping threads interrupt method is like when it's called a sleeping method, like when we use the sleeping threads and the middle of the execution, and also the main thread for execution. So when the code is in the run method of the, then we go for the print task and executes then where thread gets the main. So when main terminates itself, the program itself continues for the running because because it has still threads which are alive. So here we can see the program. Like it starts with like the public class, a print class, which like where we implement the runnable method over there. So here we mention the sleep time and the task name of the string, and we give the instructors like here the public print task. The string name is a constructor, and we give the task name so on so on. And as we generate the sleep time, like how much time you want, like I just want to give a 5 minutes of time. Like if you want to give a 5 milliseconds, or it depends on how much time you want to give a break, you want to block the thread. Then we go for the public void as a main method, and then we go for the printf like the task time, and after the time is done, like it starts again. So here like we give the public class the task executor. After the time ends, the sleep method ends automatically, the task will be execution will be done automatically. So where the creating and executing of threads, like we use the executive framework. So it manages the execution with the runnable objects for us, and it creates and manages a group of threads called thread pool, and can you reuse existing threads, and can improve the performance by optimizing the number of threads, and accepts a runnable as an argument, and assigns every runnable pass to its execute method. So if there are no available threads, then it creates a new thread or waits for the thread to become available. And also it extends executor, and it declares the methods, um, and it declares methods of the life cycle for the execution. So we do have a different methods for the execution process, and it can be created by using different static methods, and also it can you use a different method called new cached thread pool, and which creates a new threads which are needed by the application. Like so different application needs different kind of a thread programming process. So where the executor services will use the different methods for implementing different kind of applications, and we use the shutdown executor service method shutdown, which is used to stop the new task. And here the thread synchronization method, where we use a multiple threads which share an object, and which is used to rectify, or which is used to change uh, the process one by one, and and it can also be solved uh, by giving a one thread at a time, and also access a code which manipulates a shared object. So but at the time we manipulate the object which are kept in waiting, and also we access the object uh, which finishes the manipulating part, and and also one of the thread that was waiting is allowed to processed it. So so this kind of a process is called a thread synchronization process. So here we do have this like one of the thread is sync to the other one. So we do access a uh, different kind of process with the shared data, so which is connected to each other, like we do a multiple task. And um, and also we ensure that like each thread has a shared object which excludes all of the threads from doing on time, which is called as a mutual exclusion. So each thread has its own object, like it excludes all of the threads. So it does on simultaneously does all the work with the shared data. And also it has a common way to perform in Java's is like it has a monitor log, and also it, and also there is a maximizations, like there is a maximum and the minimum part, and also it acquires a log before proceeding with operation, so it has a secure system. And whenever the threads are attempting to perform to stop that, we use a lock method. The same lock is required as we used before for the secure. When we want to block the things or block the thread, we use the same method called lock. And where this monitor log is used to execute some block of codes, or where we want to uh, replace the synchronize the statement, and it is also said to be guarded by the monitor log. So these all the things will be guarded, maintained by the monitor log. For example, here we can see the synchronized object we stated, and the statements called the end synchronized statement. Here this is an object where the monitor lock will be acquired. And also it allows a synchro, and we know like the Java also allows the synchronized methods. So when the synchronized method, like the statement, it finishes its execution part, automatically the object monitor lock is also released. Unsynchronized data sharing, that is completely opposite to the synchronized method. Like when we synchronize the data between the two different threads, and we share the data between two different threads, it's called the synchronized, as we can do the same at a time. But in an unsynchronized time, uh, it will be shared across multiple threads. So, and also we need to place an int values, and when we give the uh, when we give the time sleep time, uh, it should be done with the so so we need to give a random intervals of a time for the sleep time, because when we give the random intervals of the time, we need to make sure like the problem is associated with like where the problems comes under the unsynchronized part. We need to make sure with like it should be not so more obvious. So because as is share the data with multiple threads. So this is the program, as we can see, like the import. We start with the public side, like we start with a simple array with where the unsynchronized part goes with the multiple threads. So it starts with the int method, like we give the array. Then after int, write it like it is an element to be written part, and we give the a random generator, like random time. It takes random time, and we give the int size, and we give the int size will be under the array part. And we start with the public void. So we write the in position where it is should be stored, and the time over there. So after the thread is completed, after the time is completed, automatically it goes to the